Violent crimes are on the rise in the UK. As of August 13th, there have been 86 violent deaths in the capital. According to state officials, drill music is a leading factor because of the aggressive nature of the lyrics.
As I speak, gangs are posting videos and music online that document, encourage and glamorise violence and goad and threaten others. And the repercussions can be deadly.
I think the problem goes a lot deeper and has to do with the systemic issues that's plaguing our societies. I can't cover everything in this video. Firstly, because I'm researching as I go, and secondly, because I want to keep this relatively short. This situation reminds me of the rise of US gangster rap. Groups like NWA became popular because of their uncensored music, while also being condemned for it by the state in the same way that UK rap is now. So why the violent lyrics? Most artists that I've seen comment on the situation say that their music reflects their reality, similar to how NWA justified lyrics like "Fuck the police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad 'cause I'm brown. And not the other color, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority," as it highlighted their experience with police brutality. Art being influenced by someone's material conditions is not a new idea. It's very important because it gives people the opportunity to empathize and connect with each other across the planet and potentially the solar system if we can become an interplanetary species before shit hits the fan. Anyway, that isn't to say that violent lyrics have nothing to do with crime. There have been instances where diss tracks were made to either incite violence or boast about a gang-related situation that has happened on road, which is obviously a big problem, but I think it's quite ignorant to suggest that there's a national emergency of random people stabbing random people specifically because they heard a song. The same argument has been made about video games causing violence, which has been debunked. And in that case, the player is actively pushing buttons to shoot civilians in airports. In addition to that, there are countless movies and TV shows that are way more violent than drill videos. And I don't see anyone blaming mass shootings on Game of Thrones Season 3, Episode 9, for example. Having said that, I do think there are more responsible ways for artists to speak about their reality without inciting violence on someone. For example, Shiro's Story by Rapman is a short film, or long rap, which highlights gang culture without glorifying it. This project included a lot of black talent across London, from drill artists to actors and even YouTube bloggers. And considering how much exposure it got, I can only imagine the opportunities that will arise from this. Some people have suggested that drill videos should be banned to try and curb the violence, and platforms like YouTube have followed through. But by doing this, it could actually make things worse.
The accusation kind of this music is that it has very violent lyrics. The influences young people unduly to maybe follow in the footsteps of the rappers that are talking about all sorts of things that are criminal activities, whether it be drugs, whether it be violence, whether it be stabbings, whether it be guns. And actually that as an influence is permeating into youth culture at the moment, and that's something that they want to try and avoid.
But they need to realise that the people that are making the music are then changing their lives by making the music. It's opening doors for them that necessarily wouldn't have been open before if they didn't do the music, and that's then inspiring people to then become musicians and chase their dreams and then become people like me and Crep, opening up restaurants and doing foundations for the kids, etc. So
I know your lyrics aren't violent now, but if they see them use sort of sanctioning carrying knives, using that kind of thing in their lyrics, then the suggestion would be that it's making it seem okay for them to do it, and in fact cool to do it.
Glamorising it.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're rapping about their reality, and they need to understand that if, for example, they were to ban drill music, is violence going to stop? It's not. So we're seeing it as they're using it as a scapegoat to kind of distract them from the fact of things that they're not doing. And, you know, they need to be going out in these communities and helping, you know, with youth clubs, foundation, help the kids get them off the street. That's why we've set up our foundation.
There are countless artists that have been able to escape their circumstances through expressing themselves creatively by opening doors for themselves and people in their circles. Also, these people have been an inspiration for young people all across the UK by showing them another path besides crime. Where the problem arises in regards to the internet seems to be with social media specifically. When someone gets rushed, for example, there's a chance that it will end up on someone's Instagram or Snapchat story, which is obviously deeply embarrassing in and of itself. However, I think it's much worse on platforms that have comment sections where the person in question gets roasted by dozens or even hundreds of people. It isn't unreasonable to assume that someone is going to want revenge, especially if that's the way such disputes have been solved in these areas for years.
Somebody might put up a video of somebody getting beaten up, in their head, the only thing that they want to do is go out and get revenge. They're not thinking about listening to a song and saying, yeah, I'm bad. Think about it. 40% of the people that have been stabbed and shot in London this year alone have not even been gang related. They haven't even been gang related or gang affiliated. Some of the kids that are killing kids are not even in gangs, and some of the kids that are getting killed are not in gangs. So what does music and drill music have to do with any of that? Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I do understand that there is an influence, but for you to say a cause, there is a big difference between a cause and an influence.
So how do we solve this? Like I said, I think we should go to the root of the problem, not band-aid solutions like banning drill videos, pun intended. Let's talk about youth clubs. As you probably know, a youth club is more or less a place where young people can go to hang out with each other after school or weekends or holidays and have access to mentors who may be working there, or maybe just slightly older people who are just hanging around. I remember going to youth clubs as a kid and feeling a great sense of community and belonging. I made quite a few friends and received mentorship from the older people. There were even events that were organised occasionally, like football tournaments, barbecues, and I even remember being taken to a theme park once. At the time, I didn't... Ironically, there's a siren in the background. I don't know if you can... Ends. Anyway, where was I? At the time, I didn't realise the importance of that because I was just living in the moment. But as I got older, I've seen pretty much every youth club that I used to go to being closed down. So during my teenage years, with the closing of these youth clubs, I was pretty much a hardcore gamer. So without that alternative, I'd play out on occasion, but for the most part, I would be quickscoping noobs on Rust, or raiding tombs, or assassinating Templars. But as for some of the extroverted people that I knew, they spend more time outside, and in a situation like this, there's a chance that you can get involved in something gang-related, either directly or indirectly. For example, someone you know could have been attacked and you have to back them, or someone asks you to hold some money or a weapon or drugs, and because you're cool with them, you don't really have an issue with it. Or you see them making a lot of money and buying the latest clothes and consoles, and you want a piece of that. And the next thing you know, you're dealing drugs on the side. Now, obviously, not all of this comes down to the closing of youth clubs, but I believe it is an important piece of the puzzle. In a lot of these cases, young black people get swept up the pipeline, and a mentor at a youth club, especially someone who's been a part of that life before, can help to prevent it from escalating. All it takes is one person to change your life, and the government have done a great injustice by increasing the odds that that one person is going to take them down a negative route as opposed to a positive route. So to conclude, I think it's quite naive to suggest that all of the violence in the UK and London specifically are caused by drill videos. I think it's a symptom of a much larger systemic problem, which is manifesting itself in a lot of violence. And those are the things that I will be planning on digging into in this series. I initially planned to make this all into one video, but yeah, there's just so much to dig into that I want to take time to research this stuff without, as opposed to just trying to cram all of this information inside of my head like I'm studying for a test. This is not a test, this is real life. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm approaching 300 subscribers as of uploading this. Hopefully we can get there before my next video. Some other things, if you want to contact me, all of my social medias are in the description. Special shout out to all of the other fellow black leftists that I have in my channel sidebar, and I'll put them in the description to this as well. One final thing is that I'm going to Africa in a couple of days, and I'll be there for a few weeks. So I plan on making my next video about that. Maybe I'll dig into the history of the country that I'm going to, which will be quite interesting. So yeah, considering the internet isn't great over there, I probably won't be active for a while. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm going to end it here.